Week 4 of the fantasy baseball season. Here's a few prospects I would watch and possibly stash this week. The first prospect, Logan Henderson of the Milwaukee Brewers. Henderson, he had a quick spot start last week versus the Athletics. He looked good, but in the minor leagues this season, he's gone out there and he's pitching good, and it's just a matter of time before he's back in the majors. I know they got some reinforcements over the last few weeks. Quintana back in after he had extended spring training, signing late, and he's looked good in the first few starts for him. And Tobias Myers back in the rotation as well for this Brewer team. On the season for Henderson in the minors, 14 innings, 2-1 record, 3.21 ERA in 3 games started, 24 strikeouts, and a 1.36 whip, so the strikeout rate's been great. They're giving him limited innings down there in the minor leagues as Logan Henderson. His major league debut last week versus the A's, April 20th versus the A's, 6 innings, got the win. 3 hits, a run, a walk, 9 Ks, a quality start. So Henderson, he's got good stuff. I know he's not a top 100 prospect in Major League Baseball and the number 12 prospect in this Brewers system, but like I said, he came up, he looked like he could be a major league pitcher, only 23 years old still. On this Brewer team over the last few seasons, a lot of injuries and a lot of inconsistencies in this rotation. So I know guys like Quinn Priester, they're pitching well, Patrick's pitching well, Quintana, and now they're getting Tobias Myers back in the rotation. But if one of those guys go down or goes the other way and struggles, I think Logan Henderson could step right in and be back up sooner than later in the major league. So right now, well, he's available in 93% of fantasy leagues, and someone to definitely keep on the radar is Henderson this week. Next pitcher, Andrew Painter of the Philadelphia Phillies. So Painter, I know it's been a long road back from his injuries over the last few seasons. We haven't seen him in a minor league game since 2022, and now he's on rehab assignment in single A as Andrew Painter, and it wouldn't be surprising to me if he's up in the stretch run in July or August for this Philadelphia Philly team. So he's the number 1 prospect still in their system. Number 7 prospect overall in Major League Baseball is Andrew Painter. And so far this season, they're taking it slow with him. 4 1/3 in 2 games started, 0-1 record and 4.15 ERA, 7 strikeouts, and a 1.38 whip. So Philadelphia, they've just got swept by the New York Mets. Christopher Sanchez, he got hurt, even though they're calling it day-to-day. We don't know for sure. We saw this with Justin Steele a few weeks ago where they said he'll be on the minimum on IL, and then he was out for the season, getting season-ending surgery. So you just never know with these pitchers. And Andrew Painter, he was a first-round pick in 2021 from this Philly team. Like I said, he's on rehab assignment right now in single A, but as soon as they ramp him up a little bit and save his arm for the major leagues, which obviously I could see where they're dealing with some rotation issues in the back end, is Philadelphia. It won't be surprising to me if Painter is in this rotation by June or July latest for this Philadelphia Philly team, as long as his rehab goes well and as long as he's pitching pretty well down there as well. So right now, well, he's available in 86% of fantasy leagues, and this Philly team, you know, they're a playoff contender, and if Painter can help in any way to come up and help them win ball games, they will bring him up. It's like a mid-season trade addition, so Painter available in 86% of fantasy leagues, and definitely a prospect to keep an eye on. Next prospect, Noah Schultz of the Chicago White Sox. So this White Sox team, we know they're going nowhere. One of the worst teams in the league once again this season is Chicago, and they're going to bring up the kids, I believe, sooner than later. Schultz available in 95% of fantasy leagues, number 1 prospect in the White Sox system, number 5 prospect overall in Major League Baseball. Schultz so far has been great in the minors, but they're limiting his innings so far this season. 12 2/3, 0-1 record in 3 games started, 4.97 ERA, 13 strikeouts with a 2.13 whips. His control's been a little bit of an issue for Schultz. He was drafted in the first round in 2022 by the Chicago White Sox team. And Martin Perez, someone who I thought could have been a good trade chip for Chicago, obviously out for the season, going down last week in his outing. So there's a rotation spot open, but I don't think Schultz can be up right away. But like I said, as long as he starts working the kinks out a little bit in Double-A and gets stuff under control, he could be a big-time pitching prospect, a big 6'10" left-hander as well for this White Sox team. So to me, it wouldn't be surprising if he's up anywhere from June to the August range is Noah Schultz. I thought last season there was a chance he was going to come up because he's had good success in the minor leagues. But like I said, so far in Double-A, he's off to a little bit of a slow start, but the K rate's still there, still intimidating. Obviously, at 6'10", and he's just got to get it under control because he throws hard, and that secondary pitch is something he has to work on. But like I said, one of the better prospects at the pitching position in baseball is Noah Schultz, and someone to keep an eye on down the line, and possibly sooner than later if there's one more injury in this White Sox rotation after we saw Martin Perez go down with injury. Next prospect, Chase Burns of the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati, I know their top three starters have been solid. Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Andrew Abbott's return to the rotation, but there could be an opening in the back end. I know they got Nick Martinez in there, but so far he hasn't been good in that rotation for the Cincinnati Red team. So Chase Burns, so far this season, 3 games started, 11 2/3, 0-2 record, 3.09 ERA, 20 Ks and 0.86 whip. So Chase Burns, he was a 2024 first round pick, and we've seen a lot of these guys though. Sometimes they pitch in college and they're up sooner than later. We even saw with Mike Leake where he never had to do the minor leagues for the Cincinnati Reds going back years ago, and he made his debut in the major leagues. So right now, Chase Burns, number 1 prospect in the Cincinnati Reds system, number 24 prospect in Major League Baseball, and I think a little fine-tuning down there in the minor leagues they need to see from him, and a little bit on the AAA level where he's in AA right now is Chase Burns. But like I said, this kid's got electric stuff. Number 2 overall pick in the MLB draft last season is Chase Burns. And like I said, if this Red team's contending and they can't go out there and make a deal, they're going to call him up. Or if someone goes down with injury or struggles, they might call him up. I know they got Rhett Lauder as well, one of their top prospects in the system and one of the better pitching prospects in Major League Baseball. But after drafting Burns last season, and already you see the K rate and you see the impressive whip at 0.86. He's someone that could be fast-tracked to the major leagues, and he's out there in 96% of fantasy leagues. And the final prospect to watch this week, who could possibly be up sooner than later, is Cade Horton of the Chicago Cubs. So this Cub team, we know they're a contender. We know they got one of the best offenses in the league, but the back end of the rotation, to me, is a little shaky with Ben Brown, who's been one of their top prospects, and he's been well in the minor leagues. And so far this year, mixed bag of results in the majors. And also, as well, Colin Ray, I don't know if he's in for the long run as part of this rotation with Steele out for the season. So Cade Horton, he's the number 2 prospect in the Cubs system, number 48 prospect overall in the major leagues, and he's available in 97% of fantasy leagues. And so far, they're keeping his innings down, but he's doing great in the minor leagues. And right now, he's in AAA, so he's on the brink, I believe, of coming up sooner than later for this Cub team. Like I said, with Ben Brown and Colin Ray, I think he has more upside than those 2 pitchers at this point in the back end of the Cubs rotation. On the year, 17 innings, 4 games started, 1-1 record, 1.06 ERA, 23 strikeouts, and a 1.06 whip. So he's dominating right now in AAA. I know last season he was banged up. Majority of this season was Cade Horton, but I think the time is soon for Cade Horton to come up to the major leagues. We've already seen some prospects get called up already. We saw Nick Kurtz, who was on the list last week. He got called up. He's in the major leagues. We already seen the Rockies call up Veen Dolander to the major leagues, and Cade Horton, I think he can help this Cub team sooner than later. And his innings have definitely been limited, even before the injury last season as well. And so far this year, only 17 innings and 4 starts. So Cade Horton, he's got good stuff, 23 years old, in AAA. And like I said, Ronald Ray struggling. He could be up any week now. So that's a few prospects to watch and possibly add for week 4 of the fantasy baseball season.